Hi, welcome to Personal Pivot. I'm Claudia, and this is a space for honest conversations about change, whether it's in your career, your relationships, or within yourself. Because sometimes the most powerful move you can make is a pivot. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the show. Today's conversation is one of those that I'm super thrilled about this one, Christina. It's been a while since I've seen you, but every time I see you, you make me so happy. But for everyone who hasn't met Christina, I hope she does the same for you. We're gonna hit a couple of things: identity, purpose, reinvention, and honestly, I feel like it's the kind of story that I know so many of us are living in real time. Christina, I don't know how you do it all. You have so many things going that are wonderful things, and you're a wonderful person that deserves the best. And there are many of us who are trying to at least one of the things that you're working on, and we don't know where to start. We don't know where to go. So I'm joined by Christina Williams. She's an instructional designer and learning strategist with over 15 years of experience building leadership and training programs grounded in adult learning theory and real world skill development. I got to see some of this, and she does beautiful work. But what makes her story especially powerful is at least from the last time we worked together, the way I see it is what happened next, right? So after navigating an unexpected career transition in 2021, and we're going to dig into that, Christina didn't just pivot. She launched Wax to Riches Candle Company, turning a season of uncertainty into a purpose-driven entrepreneurial journey. She's the founder and director of Pearls Unbound, which is a nonprofit focused on empowering girls through leadership development, through enrichment, and sisterhood-centered experiences. And through her mentorship with Dazzling Misfits Dance and Enrichment Program, she's helping young girls, especially girls of color, build confidence, identity, and leadership through the arts. She's a mother, an entrepreneur, an educator at heart, and someone deeply committed to helping the next generation step into their voice and their purpose. Christina, I'm excited to have you here. I said a lot. Where would you like to start with all of that? I mean, I hope you're taking this all in. You're doing a lot.
Yeah, people call me crazy, so just call me Christina Crazy Williams. I'll take
Crazy
it.
Christina, Christina crazy.
All of the things. No, thank you so much for having me on your show, Claudia. I have always looked up to you since the day that I met you, since, you have always inspired me to be my best self. And so it means a lot that you support me and that to this day, like we still communicate. I feel like, we may not talk for a year or two, but I feel like every time we get back together, it's like we pick up where we left off. And I just really appreciate the continuous support that you've always given. And it's always so genuine. So thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here and share, my experiences. Now, I'm not an expert, but I do want to share my experiences in some of the things that I have come across in life.
Thank you for that. I feel like it's when you keep in touch with people that you've worked with or that you've met and you find opportunities to support, we want to support one another, right? When being women in any industry, um, I don't know about you, but growing up, I didn't know what it was like to partner with someone to support another woman. I saw my mom on her own doing things, and you kind of had to figure some of these things out on your own, right? How to support each other as women. Um, and where you and I worked together, we worked at a corporate place where what you normally see, and I'm not talking about that place specifically, but just in general, you normally see women trying to rise to the top but not bring each other up or
Yep.
not support each other in a sense. Not because we're mean, not because we're evil, but because it's difficult enough to get yourself in a room where you can voice your opinion, where you can bring ideas. And then on top of that, you're trying to figure out how do I bring someone else's voice into this if I'm struggling myself?
Mhm.
So where there's opportunities for us to support one another, why not? Let's do it.
Amen. Yeah, yeah. I mean, some of them were a little evil. Okay, let's be real.
It's
We're not gonna name no names.
some. No, we're not naming names, but and you do wonder, right? You and I talked a lot with our team too. Why? Why is
Mhm.
this even necessary?
Yep.
This is one of the things that, and as people are listening to this, this is one of the things that I feel when we connect, it's like we didn't skip a beat, right?
Mhm.
Your humor in that type of environment is was so instrumental to me, to my team, to our team, because sometimes it is rough out there.
Mhm. Mhm.
You are
Yeah.
seeing not just women, but people tearing each other down to for what reason? To get higher in their positions, and you bring that humor. I love your humor. I love the personality that you bring. You also know how to I'm not saying that you're always laughing and bubbly. You also know how to flip a switch and get down to business. So that Christina is a little scary, but very much needed in any team environment. Someone who can flip the switch and say, "All right, let's get to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stop laughing." And then 5 minutes later, "I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, everybody."
Yeah. I mean, you have to find humor in the things that you do. I feel like if we're always so serious, I feel like I lose myself when I can't just be myself. And I have been in very many I wouldn't say industries, but I've been in very different parts of my career where I could only be serious. I couldn't be myself. And when I found those spaces where I was able to be myself, that's where my true creativity was able to come out. I was actually able to hone in on those skills. And so if I can't authentically be myself, and to be honest, as a black woman, it's very difficult in a corporate environment to just always be yourself. And so I appreciate being allowed to just come in authentically as myself, because sometimes we have to like bottle it up, and by the time you get off work you're just ready to burst, so
Yeah.
I appreciate being allowed to do that. um so
I think you came into the team in a moment where you worked with me, you worked with Kristen, we worked with Denise, we our team grew. You came into a team in a moment where I had already been a manager of a team, but not in this space, right? In the learning and development space. So I was learning with you, and one of the things that I feel your personality brings, your authenticity brings, it's for someone in a leadership position or in a management position, whatever it is, to understand how important it is to create psychological safety.
Mhm.
I feel like it helped me as the person guiding the team see that when you let people be themselves, no matter what that is, without having to, like you said, bottle things up, you get the best version of them.
Mhm.
In return, you become a better leader.
Yep.
So when you have team members like that, you think, "Oh, I'm doing this for them." No, they're doing this for you to be a better leader. They give
Yep.
you the opportunity to not just create that space, but also learn how to be your authentic self in a leadership position and still mean business,
Yep.
still do the work that needs to be done.
Yep. Exactly.
All all right. So that's a big intro and a big introductory conversation for where I want to take this now. I want to start at your moment of transition that I mentioned, because I think a lot of people find themselves there whether they expect it or not. And you have at that moment where we mentioned this was what, 2021.
Mhm.
At this moment that we mentioned in 2021, you had this established career, learning and development, and then life shifted for you. What was that shift like for you? How much of that can you share with us now? Like, what happened specifically in 2021 that led you to becoming a small business owner?
Yeah. So, and to clarify, I've always been an entrepreneur, and I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit, which is great. The projects that I had been working on outside of my corporate experience was more projects of passion. just things that I like to do. I like to dance. So let me be a dance coach. Cool. Let's, it allowed me to spend more time with my oldest daughter, which was great. But let's be honest, that does not bring the bread and butter into my household. I am a single mother. So my job, my corporate job is where that's how my bills get paid. So basically I got fired. Okay. I got fired. And let me say that I have never been fired from a job in my life. In all of the years that I had been working, and this is not to toot a horn, but I've always found that I've been naturally good at any job that I've taken on. I've taken it seriously. I really, I treat my job as my business. I treat my position as my business. Now, that's always something that my mother has instilled in me. Even in relationships, you treat them like a business because that's something that you want to pour into and get something great out of, right? So, in this
Mhm.
particular experience or the job that I was at, I had been there less than a year and I thought that I was doing great, others not so much, and I literally got fired. And it was one of the most devaluing and dehumanizing experiences that I could have ever felt. It felt like a breakup. It felt like somebody was like, "Girl, I don't want you no more." I was like, pearls clutched. Excuse
Oh my
excuse
god.
me? So one of the things that the first thing that I thought about was my kids. They were at school at the time. I was working at home. Mind you, we're still in the pandemic phases, so nobody's in the office. And to be fired on Zoom is insane, first of all. So anyway, I thought about my children and I'm like, oh my gosh, like what am I gonna tell my kids? Because immediately things have to change like right now. I was already going through a breakup of my own. I had just moved into a new place because of the breakup. Like all of those things were just kind of hitting me all at once. And I had this sense of panic. And one thing that happens for me, because I'm a girl that gets anxiety, um, I've learned to find a safe space in lighting candles. And so I got up and I stood in the middle of the room and I saw this lighter that was on the table. And I said, let me pick the lighter up. Let me go light my candle. And I lit the candle. It was a 3-wick candle. I'm not going to tell you where I got it from, but it's one of my favorite candles. And I lit the candle and immediately I blew it out. I said, girl, don't light that candle. You ain't got no money. Like you're not about to be working. So we gotta, kind of shift what we're doing here.
Yeah.
Because that was just one of like the things that I really like to do is come home, relax, light a candle. And I was just a girl that always goes to this store that I would buy candles from, and knowing how expensive they were, that was the first thing that like, oh, for myself, this is something that I'm not going to be able to do. So that's where it started for me was, okay, I'm gonna learn how to make candles so I can burn candles in my house because I ain't gonna have no money. So that's how it started. Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know this.
Yeah.
You said so many things there to unpack. Okay. So I'm going to share something that I haven't shared with a lot of folks, and I haven't even shared it with you. You bringing up how it feels like a breakup to be fired, right? To be let go. I've heard this from so many different people. You start to ask yourself, was it me? Did I do something wrong? I thought I was doing good. What happened? I was recently laid off for a different reason. For the company was being in the headquarters is in Seattle. um, the position needed to be moved to Seattle. And many of us are not in a position to just grab our stuff and leave. So my position was moved to Seattle, changed to a different position, kind of married into another role. A couple of changes happened, and one of those was my role, right? So when you said that, my immediate reaction was, it does feel like a breakup. You're there sitting, and you also said another thing, like you had never been fired before. I haven't been fired before. But I feel like whether you're laid off or fired, all of these questions are going to come up. What could I have done differently? Was I not good enough? What if I would have done this? What if I would have said this? Up until that very last moment where you're being told on if it's on Zoom, if it's virtual, if it's in person, could I have said something? in that moment
Mhm.
that would have changed this. And to be fair to a lot of companies too, I've seen decisions being made like this where people don't want to fire someone or let someone go. And hey, it's this is what's going to happen. But I can also vouch for the work that you do. When you and I worked together, there were projects that I had that I wondered my team is they're all doing completely different things, but this is particularly that high priority because it's compliance related and we cannot get this wrong. And if we get this wrong and we train people with this incorrectly, if we get audited, this is not good for the company. I've had multiple projects like that where I've wondered, who do I assign this to? Christina is going to be that person. The person that's gonna come through, and I feel like everyone on the team could come through, but I knew you have the experience in this. I've seen your work before. You are going to not just take care of this the way that I would, you're gonna do a better job than I would. And that's the role of someone in a leadership position. Find the people that can do a better job than you and be their support system. So I vouch for your work. So when you say like I was fired, I'm like, how what? How dare
How
they?
dare the audacity.
How dare
Yeah.
they? The audacity. Um, but you being a single mom and going through all those things, the people on the other end that are saying, well, Christina, Christina Crazy Williams, this is it. This is where our relationship ends. They don't know that in your mind, you are also going into protective mama bear
Yeah.
mode, right? You're going into single mom mode. You're going into all of these things that are happening in your brain. Nobody knows these things. All they know is we probably need to get her off the phone already because this is going to be awkward.
Mhm. Yep.
So for and then to hear you say the thing that I do to take care of me, I've seen this happen with a lot of women. We stop taking care of ourselves because we're taking care of others. We don't buy for ourselves because we're buying for others. I've seen this in my sister. I've seen this with my best friend. I've seen this with especially those of you who are moms. We stop taking care of ourselves as mom. Um, And that could be in so many forms. I'm not going to get my nails done anymore. I'm not going to get my hair done anymore. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to buy this book. I'm not, even though it seems like what's, like I've also heard people say, well, it's just your nails. It's just your hair. Yeah, but this is what makes me me.
Mhm.
This is what makes me happy. You go out and buy a, I don't know what it is for you, a tool. You go out and buy AirPods. I go and take care of me in this format. This
Mhm.
is what makes me feel at peace.
Yep.
And to hear you say that you took that and instead of sitting in that moment and saying, "Oh my god, poor me, I'm never going to buy a candle anymore." You're like, "What? How can I get my candles?
'Cause
How can I get my
somebody's
candles?"
gotta burn a candle in here, otherwise ain't nothing gonna go right, okay? Nothing.
you you
Yeah.
could also, I mean, having with that mindset, having a lighter in your hand and being upset and being sad and have looking at a candle, you could have also just lit everything on fire.
Listen, okay?
Do I light it on fire? Do I
I'm
light this
sure
candle?
insurance would have covered it. It'd have been fine. It probably would have been the easier way out. I'm just
What?
saying.
Okay, so you you're not lighting the candle. You're deciding I need to do something else, and I like lighting candles. I'm gonna start my own business. How did you turn that idea, this isolated moment of losing your job and fending for yourself and your daughters, and how did that turn into a business for you?
So, again, it wasn't supposed to be a business, it was supposed to just be for me, and I learned it real quick. It was pretty simple outside of the fact that, of course, candle making is a science, so because I knew I wasn't going to it was just for me, I wasn't gonna give them to anybody. It was really more of like, let me just burn some. I just want my house to smell good. So I did some research. I took a couple of classes, because mind you, because when they did fire me, they had to give me a severance so I would be quiet. Severance packages are basically
Yeah,
hush money. So I did
that's what
have
it is. Yeah.
a little severance package where I was able to spend a little bit, on myself. And I took that time. My mom was actually really pivotal to say, you got to take care of yourself. How are you going to show up for yourself? And so, I, one thing that I'm never going to do is not learn. And it doesn't matter what capacity it's going to be. And so that was my learning moment, was to let's learn how to make candles. And so while I was doing that, one of my friends back home in Minnesota, she ended up actually at that time starting a clothing boutique, or she had already had a clothing boutique, but she had just opened her first boutique, brick and mortar, in a mall in from the city that I was from. And so she opened that up. She had came out to California because she this is where she was purchasing her clothing from, and she stayed at my house. And she saw my candle set up, and she was like, "Oh, this is real cool, you know." And so she's like smelling the candle. She's like, "Girl, these are real good." And that's how it really started. She was like, "You know what would be cool? You should send some candles back with me, and I will put them in the store, and we'll see how they sell." And at least that way you can make a couple dollars. It's not going to be much, but we can kind of work something out. And I said, okay, well, let me kind of test them out first, because I'm not trying to burn nobody's house down. Let me let me figure it out first before I send them, but I will ship them to you. Let me test them out first. So she gave me a little time to do that. I tested them out, figured out the ones that I'm like, okay, these ones work. They were actually burning the right way. They were reminding me of, what a candle should look like, feel like. And at this time, I was actually like putting a lot of work into them. I was putting all types of molds and flowers and all types of stuff, things that are not compliant at all. But I sent them to her, and she sold when I tell you those things blew off the shelves. She called me and was like, "Hey, I have a check for you." Not a check, child. Said she Zelled me.
I got
Um,
a Zelle for you.
she got a Zelle for me. She didn't have a check. But she sent me the money, and she said, "Can you send more?" And I sent more, and that's how it started. So nobody in California was buying my candles at the time. It was people in Minnesota that were actually purchasing the candles and were in love with them. And and so I said, let me go ahead and just, LLC, insurance, let me really get this down to a science, take a couple of classes and really understand what it means, because now people are buying my things. I don't want to get sued, and let me really, understand what this fire thing is all about, because again, it is a science, and you have to make sure that you're doing it right. And you know me, I'm all about compliance. So
Oh,
that was
yeah.
kind of how it happened.
For those who are listening, when Christina says she's all about compliance, your mind goes immediately there. I've seen it before where I could be, and I'm going to go back to training. I can be creating content and Christina's looking at it and wondering, wait, what does this mean for this other department? What does this mean for this law? What does this mean for this regulation? Your mind already goes there. I've seen it before. I think it's great. You're looking out. I've seen you look out for companies, but here you're looking out for yourself. And that's what an LLC does. That
Mhm.
I recently learned. I didn't know this. I'm looking into it myself. An LLC is not just there to make it to where people understand this is a real business. It's professional. It's also your protection.
Yeah.
It separates your business from you,
Yeah.
right? So when you're talking about, I don't want to burn anyone's house down, and they end up suing you, they may sue you for everything you've got.
Mhm.
But with an LLC, there's that separation of, oh,
Mhm.
this is the business. It's not Christina,
Yep.
even though it is your business, right? You
Mhm.
handle it differently. So
Mhm.
thank you for bringing that up. I'm glad you mentioned that. I remember my first purchase from you for your candles. They were very beautiful to look at. You had the different trinkets that you were putting into it. They had the lips, the flowers,
Mhm.
all wax. It wasn't like real, you're putting real people's lips in there. It was all wax, all wax. Beautiful work, really beautiful work. So I'm glad that someone gave you that push. I feel like we push each other with just a small. I've tasted someone's cooking and I've asked them, why don't you sell this?
Mhm.
I've said this to my sister. She makes things, and I'm like, why don't you put this on Etsy?
Mhm.
It's what we do after,
Yep.
what
Yep.
we can commit to, right? Not everyone feels that entrepreneurial or has that entrepreneurial bug.
Mhm.
But you have it. You're saying you've always done it. So you start selling your candles. What else are you balancing at the same time?
Oh, so, not only, motherhood, obviously, my kids are always gonna come first in everything that I do, but I also have, my nonprofit that I just launched, earlier last or actually in the later season of last year. So Pearls Unbound is basically an enrichment program for young girls of color from second grade all the way to 12th grade. And it's really to empower them in leadership, making sure that they have a safe space to go. We journal, we, talk about, the hard things, bullying, how to present yourself like a lady. And then of course, sisterhood. It's always going to be centered around sisterhood. I am truly a girl's girl. So, and because I am a girl mom, I have no sons, like none. What, like, there wasn't a son in sight for my future. I think, I had to just take it from God that,
No.
if I even tried to have another child, it would be a girl. And joke's on you.
Yeah.
So I said, one of the things that I wanted to make sure that I could do, um, and show up for my girls is for them to see me doing things for other girls, so that way they understood what sisterhood looked like. They don't have to be a part of your family. Any girl out here is your sister. We have to protect each other because we know how hard it is.
Mhm.
So those are the things that I'm juggling right now. And then just, taking care of myself. That's one thing that I started to have to I'm starting to learn to be more mindful of, because I am running not only, lives of a teenage girl and then two other young ones, and I have a bonus daughter as well. Um, I'm juggling that, and then I'm also juggling these businesses. I start to find that did I eat today? Did I drink water? Girl, did you go to the bathroom? Like all of those things. So, we got to find the balance.
Why do we do that? Why do we do that? Sometimes I feel like it's we're so focused on something in our minds, we're telling each other, we're telling ourselves, I must complete this
Mhm.
now. I'm in it now. I must focus. And then 3 hours pass. You're like, oh, I forgot to go to the restroom.
Yep.
I've heard my sister do this, and she has two kids, and she's like, I forgot to eat today. What do you mean you forgot to eat? And then I watch her kids, and I'm like, I forgot to eat. I haven't even eaten, or I was eating their fries, their leftovers, because
Because they
they
wait
asked
to
for
go.
food, and of
Mhm.
course, they're not gonna eat it because you got it for them.
Yeah.
So I'm eating leftovers. I understand it.
Mhm.
I get a small glimpse of it. I'm not on mom mode 24/7. And I'm also not running a business, right?
Mhm.
I think that it's important for people to hear at whatever age you are, someone that's done so many things say, I forget to take care of myself. I
Yeah.
forgot to take care of myself. I haven't eaten. I haven't gone to the restroom. So this is where I feel like a lot of people may be struggling, that we don't always say it out loud. You're holding multiple identities at once: entrepreneur, mother, mentor, coach. Whatever the moment needs, you turn into that. Um,
Mhm.
how do you, or what would you say to someone that's navigating those roles on the daily without losing yourself in the process? You're doing the work now, right? Taking care of yourself. What are the things that you would tell the young girls that you're mentoring? What would you say to them? How do you not lose yourself in all of this?
You have to be intentional in everything that you do. So, I always, one thing that I started to live by, and this is just kind of a mantra that I've started to kind of put together for myself. Is three P's. It's purpose. Well, first I started with passion. It's passion, and then it's purpose, and then it's paradigm. And obviously, with passion, it's something that I think about. I always tell the girls, if it's something that you love so much, and if you could do anything else in the world, would you still choose this? And if the answer is yes, then that is your passion. That's what drives you. And then of course the purpose, it comes with that, right? That goes hand in hand. But paradigm is something that we always have to think about, because paradigm is basically a mindset shift. It's a different perspective. It's always looking at things in a different light. And you are going to have I find myself having paradigm shifts in literally the same thing over and over and over again. So what I mean by that is, if something is not working, how do you shift from that? Don't trash it, but how do you shift? How do you repurpose? How do you continue to move forward? Because if it was your passion, why would you trash it, right? So all of these things have to always continue to go hand in hand with one another, and you have to make sure that again the passion and the purpose is going to come first. Your paradigm is what's going to be able to change. You can always kind of roll with the punches and adapt. And one thing that I tell my own children is, and especially my oldest child, girl, especially my oldest. Uh, because she's now transitioning into adulthood. She's 18, she's in college, she's
God.
working, she's driving, okay? So,
What?
she is
But
zooming
she's
down
still
the street.
little.
Oh,
But
baby.
I met her when she was little.
She is zooming down the street, okay? In an electric car at that. She thinks she's big stuff. But one thing that I tell her all the time is, um, because her thing is like, "Ugh, why is this so hard? Like, why do I have to do this?" And I'm like, girl, you're an adult now, you know? So as much as I want to hold on and coddle you and teach you everything and guide you through it and hold your hand. I cannot. So there are going to be moments where you're going to have to make a decision and you have to think about that you have to get into a different perspective. You're not a child anymore and you have to learn to adapt. So if things aren't going right at work, how do you communicate that? How do you communicate those things? If it's something that you need or that you need from your boss to understand about you, so that way you both can get through a shift together because maybe both of y'all getting on each other's nerves. Come in with that perspective, but make sure that she understands. And so again, like the paradigm shift is always going to be something that is constant. And it might be on the same exact thing. It could be, just your schedule you might have to shift because things come up, right? So just, adaptation in that paradigm.
Thank you for that. I wrote this down. Be intentional, your purpose, your passion, and the paradigm shift. I remember saying once, I was doing some DEI work and planning at one of the companies I worked at. And there were people who were like, I really want to contribute. I really want to do this. But then there was like no action or very little commitment. And I wrote down on my board, I put purpose plus passion is a dream, is a wish. Purpose, passion, and action is a plan.
Mm,
This is where I think your paradigm is extremely important, that you have to be able to act in the moment
yep.
and not just throw it out the window. It's a great reminder for me too. Thank you for that. I keep saying I want to write. I'm going to write a children's book. I have already the first idea laid out. My nephew's helping me with the illustrations. He's 9 years old and he's illustrating,
Oh,
and it's just
nice.
sitting there though. All of my everything I've written is just sitting there. So when I hear you say this, don't throw it out the window. You're speaking to me. I feel like a lot of us do this. We find our passion
Hmm.
or something that gives us purpose, and then it just sits there. And it's normal, um, because life happens. Because COVID happened at one
Yep.
point. Kudos to you for being a parent of someone who is going into adulthood, but she went through this learning phase that we had in person.
Hmm.
Your daughter had it virtual,
Yep.
right? Like many kids did. And this is what I think is there's a generational difference. One of the biggest differences is going to school, graduating from school, all during COVID, post COVID. Social media wasn't a thing when we were younger, and now it's in front of us no matter what we're doing.
Yep.
Podcasting wasn't a thing, and here we are doing it. So for you to be doing this for other girls and bringing those important lessons to them, there's so much value in that. So much value, not just as a
Thank you.
mom, but as a mentor in the work that you're doing.
Yeah. Thank you.
And you bring a unique mix of experiences. You bring the corporate, the creative, community based work. I will ask you this. How has your background in all of this shaped the way that you approach your leadership and how you approach your business today? What are the things that you're bringing into that?
Well, um, first and foremost, I would say somebody had to inspire that, right? There's always some type of inspiration that brings you to a point where you can kind of take off, and that that very person would be my mother. I watched my mom work corporate jobs as a young kid. She would bring me to the office with her. She would let me work the copy machine, girl. I would work the fax
Hey,
machine.
you
Girl,
thought
I
you
thought
were a
I
big
was
girl.
hot stuff. My friends would call, and I'll be like, "First of all, I don't got no minutes, but Imma call you after 9 because 'cause I'm at my mom's job," you know?
I'm
Um,
faxing. I'm
yeah, I'm fa
faxing. I have to
I'm
call you
using a
back.
facsimile, okay? That was one thing that I really loved was going to the office and seeing her in action, like, oh my gosh, like and let me say this too, seeing my mom at home was extremely different, seeing her in her role in the office, interacting with her clients, interacting with all these big wigs that had the blazers on and the ties and these briefcases, and I was like, "Okay, big stuff," but at home, she wasn't okay, she was mom, and,
Mhm.
the code switch was real, and I would always ask her, like, "You talk so different at work," and she's like, "Girl, you can't I can't you think if I go in there talking the way that I talk at home, that's" and I was just like, "I don't think I could ever do that." But just seeing her do those things is what really just told me, like, "You know what, girl? You can literally do anything." Like, my mom is my superhero and always will be. So going into corporate world, I actually started in the corporate world when I was 18 years old. And I've learned one of the things that I've learned is understanding how to be in a space where you're either going to be the youngest, you're probably not going to be always be the smartest, but you don't have to fake it to make it either. One thing that I really wanted to make sure that I did was I learned everything that I could from the people around me, and I would find that very strong person in a group, and I would just latch on to them because I wanted to soak up everything that they were pushing out. And it wasn't it might have been a little selfish or I don't know if that's more self-loathing. I don't know, but I think it was more of me just I just wanted to be like something and kind of create an image for myself. So I would kind of take the things that I liked about those particular skills that person had, and I would kind of make them my own. So not only was I learning, but I was also finding a way to be self-sufficient in those aspects. When it comes to motherhood and just kind of getting into leadership, I think I said this before, is every relationship that I have, I treat it like a business. I even treat the relationships with my kids in some aspects like a business because I have to pour so much into you. I'm trying to develop a product from you, um, as opposed to just pushing you out there into the world and you not bringing like what are you going to bring to the table? So I want them to see something in me, so the motivation is legacy. It's always going to be legacy. I want them to see something that they could take from me and make it something their own. I don't want them to be just like me. I think we all say it as parents. I want my children to be better than me. The goal is pour into them, teach them everything that they need to know, but then start to let go to where they can actually build on their own and find their own identity. So I think just when it comes to leadership as well is doing the same thing when it comes to the girls that I mentor. Doing the same thing when it comes to if I'm leading a tiger team in my corporate job because remember we still got to pay the bills. So, yeah, those are those are the main things
We
that I would
do.
say.
Nice, thank you. So, and it's interesting the way that you starting off, the way that you mentioned starting off at 18 in the corporate world and really being a sponge and taking in everything. I see it as that's the learner in you. Maybe that's just what I tell myself. You're not stealing people's personalities or actions. You're just learning from them. You are learning from them. But you're doing the same thing now. You're teaching your daughters and the girls that you mentor and people like me, you're showing us you can in fact borrow from others, but make it make sense for you. What is it that you're learning from other people? And that's part of your legacy, right? And I love the way that you put also motherhood, you're pouring into people. I wrote down, because I'm taking notes on what you're saying because I mean, I'm at school right now, everyone. Um, I wrote down mothering, um, equals ROI. So what is the ROI for what the time you're investing in your kids? I'm going to apply that to my niece and nephew. This is an investment in you, but what does the ROI look like? At some point, you do have to let go. I'm a helicopter auntie.
Mhm.
I don't want anything to hurt them when they're with me. I need to see them at all times because things are crazy in LA, and you need to be able to
Yep.
see
Mhm.
and hear the kids. Um, but at some point, I also have to let go as the auntie. My sister has to let go as a mom. That's the difficult part,
Mhm.
but it is an ROI that you're gonna see, and you used a better word, you used legacy. I'm over here thinking the return on investment on these children,
But that's
and you're
very
like, "It's your
true.
legacy."
Yeah, that is very true because, just like you said, I've always been a helicopter mom, and I think my oldest, I probably get on her nerves the most, because sometimes she's like, "Mom, I got it," and I'm like, "But I can see that you don't got it yet, so let me, I'm a fly, I'm a, I can see, and I just like you said with the compliance thing, I'm extremely forward thinking. I've learned that about myself early on, but I didn't really know how to explain because I would get on people's nerves. And I'll bring a perfect example. I was in business with someone, with a friend of mine, and we were kind of running our dance program together. And she would come in with these great ideas. But sometimes I would actually sometimes all the time I would always say, okay, but what about this? Okay, but what about this? Or did you think about this? And I think I got on her good nerve. Um, but I had to explain it to say, like, you know what? I I come from a world of compliance. I come from a world of there is always going to be a gray area that you have to tap into and you have to look at. And so I treat everything that I've learned in the compliance world, even with my daughter, I tell her like, look, I know this gets on your nerves, but I'm looking at all of these gray areas because it could happen and you have to be prepared for these specific things. And you can never say like that'll never happen to me or it's not going to happen. So when you talk about the ROI aspect, um the same thing, legacy ROI, however you want to put it. Um, the other thing when I say them outputting a product is when I get old and gray, I need you to take care of me and not put me in a nursing home. So I'm teaching you the skills. Right? I'm teaching you the skills that you need to know, to not only be great, but to, be able to feel like, "You know what? My mom really took care of me." Even as an adult, she may not have been holding my hand the entire way through, but she was hovering. She was hovering, at a safe space to where she could let go, but she's always gonna be there, and I want that to be
Mhm.
flipped. I want to reciprocate that. I want it to be reciprocated, for me when they get older because, like I said, don't put me in no nursing home now. Take care of me because there's gonna be a time where I can't do everything. You know?
I'm just making sure that you are gonna be okay so that you can take care of me in the long
Yeah,
run.
for
So
sure, absolutely. Because that's the
and
return on investment. Yeah.
yeah, I hear you, talking about, like, you were a helicopter mom. I see it, and I think of my mom when you say these. I've thought about my mom every time you've talked about your mom, when we used to work together, you would be like, "I have to call my mom." I'm like, "Oh my god." I I I can see that we're on the same page, but we love our moms. I see it now, and there were many times when I was a teenager where I was not the best daughter to my mom. Those are the things that I can live with regrets or I can fix it now. Um, I think about it and I'm wondering, is it that moms are being helicopter moms, or is it that they're making sure that you know that they're available? That they're within reaching distance, right? It's not that I'm trying to like, I remember my mom telling me, "I'm not trying to tell you what to do, it's just that this is going to happen." And I'm like, "Oh, she thinks she knows everything." Then I would turn around and cry and be like, "It happened. Why didn't you tell me?" But I could turn around and she'd be there. Even now, my mom having a stroke and she's bedridden, I know I can pull up a chair, sit next to her, and start crying, and she's going to mother me because of those moments that I thought she's being intrusive, she's being nosy. No, she was being available. She was being my resource. She was being my mom. So that's how I see it. I picture you doing this. I see my mom. Um, I love it. It's beautiful. You've touched on many challenges, many things that you're balancing at the same time. And we've talked about motherhood. We've talked about um, your entrepreneurial spirit. We've talked about all of this. Now, there may be someone who's listening that doesn't have one or the other going on. Someone who's like, "Hey, I'm there, but I'm not balancing motherhood," or "I'm there, but I've never been in corporate America, so I don't know how to apply these things." Um, what have been some of the biggest challenges that you've faced in getting your business off the ground? What advice would you give to someone that's in that early stage of building the business? And just before you answer the question, I do want to share I have one of my candles here, the Wax to Riches candle, and maybe I haven't been doing a good job of following the instructions that you sent, but it is my favorite scent. This one is the golden honey the honeycomb one, it's golden honey, jasmine, and creamy coconut. This honeycomb one is so far my favorite. I'm usually a mint type of girl or a eucalyptus type of girl, but this one has been my favorite. So I have one. I can speak to the quality of your work. Going back to the question though, what has been some of the biggest challenges that you have faced? What advice would you give to someone that wants to get here to where you're at, that you have a business that's going?
Yeah. Well, I will say this about candle making. What I didn't realize was there's like 1,000,008 candle makers out there. Literally, like I've been to pop-ups, even one of my first pop-ups where I was invited to go, I paid my money, I set up my stuff, and I looked to the left and I looked to the right, and it was candle makers going down the line. And I said, "Not why? No, why would you get me to spend my money to do this? Now we just all competing with one another." So that I would say, and the reason why I'm saying that is because a lot of times we have this great idea, we turn it into a business, and the first thing that we do, and I know that I've done, is I'm like, "Hey, I want to do this thing," and it'll be a friend, it could be a family member, whatever, and they'll be like, "Oh, well, there's so many people that do that." It's, like, so oversaturated. So if you have ever been told something like that, it it really makes you feel like, "Oh my gosh, I can't do it." It makes you second guess yourself. And that was one of the things that I had experienced, even though I had a friend that was gracious enough to be like, "Girl, give me them candles. I'm gonna put them in my store or whatever." That was one person believing in me, but it took somebody else and actually multiple people to say like, "Oh, well, so and so is also doing the same thing." So it was making me feel like, "Oh, well, so does that mean I can't do it? Does that mean that I shouldn't do it? Does that mean that I'm stealing somebody else's shine?" And so what I had to realize is, yes, there are 100,000 other candle makers out there. However, the way that I'm showing up in this perspective, um, and the perspective that I have on my candles is this is my thing. And what I had to start understanding is yes, there are others. There just like there's a Walmart, there's a Target, there was a Kmart. Um, all of these businesses started from somewhere, and yes, there were other convenience stores and bigger stores out there, but you had to find your niche, right? So this is where the branding and stuff comes in at, and exactly like what do you want your brand story to be. So I understood that I had to tell a story. um and so I think that when it came to, like, really trying to boil down, like, what I wanted to do and how I wanted to kinda put it out there, I started with something, like you said, you purchased those candles and they were decked out, they were decorated, and now I went to something completely simple, but it still provides the same quality and the same value. And, um, and it brings me to another point at a pop-up shop that I was at. again, this was another candle maker that came up to my space and was like, "Your candles are amazing. Like they look great." And she looked at my prices, and mind you, this lady has been making candles for I want to say 20 years. So she has it down to a science. I've learned a lot from her. We've connected, and she said, "Well, the difference between my candles and yours is you use a different type of wax. You got to think about it like that. You use a different type of wax. I use soy wax. You use a coconut blend wax, and you also you add things to your candle so they look different, they feel different, and we're not carrying the same scents. There are a million different scents out there." And so she's like, "It all boils down to how you want to tell your story." And then one thing that she said, she looked at my prices and she said, "Why are you selling your candles so cheap?" And I said, "Well, I want them to be affordable." She said, "But you're not making any money." So the reason why I made my candles cheap was because somebody told me that they were too expensive. And I was like, "Well, my friends were telling me that they were too expensive." And she's like, "Girl, then that means that your candles are not for them. If they want a cheap candle, tell them to go to Walmart. Tell them to go to, where they can get a $5 candle, and that's fine. But you have to believe in your brand." And so the advice that I give to people that are trying to figure it out is believe in your brand. And I believe that nothing, absolutely nothing happens by accident. So, and when I say that, I am a firm believer in God. I'm a firm believer of what He has set for me in my life, in any aspect of my life. Everything happens for a reason. It's only because of God. And so, that first intuition, that first gut instinct, that first idea where I'm like, I should do X, Y, Z. That's God telling me you should do X, Y,
You
Z.
should do. Yeah.
Outside of that secondary voice that's like, the candle world is oversaturated. Don't sell your candles for that much. It's too expensive. Nobody's going to buy your candles. Why are you doing it this way? That is not God. And I need to continue to go with my first gut. So the advice that I would give is to go with your first gut, and also niche and brand. Even if you bake pie, Patty also makes pies, okay? What is it about your pies? Maybe you add cinnamon, maybe you add nutmeg, maybe there's some type of ingredient that you put in your stuff that she doesn't. Um, so same thing. You just have to look at it as, again, it's that paradigm. Like, this is my thing. I'm putting it out there from my perspective, and you are going to build an audience from that. Everybody's not going to like a Walmart candle. Everybody's not going to like a Bath and Body Works candle. They may just like yours. And there are a lot of people that support small businesses. So continue to do it. Don't second guess it. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't do it. You just have to, you really have to just believe in yourself. And if not you, then who? Right. So don't wait on those people to support you. And especially when it comes to your family and friends. Don't wait for your family and friends to support you, because a stranger will probably support you faster than your family and friends will. And that is not always a bad thing. And the reason why I say that
Mm-mm.
is because our family and our friends are supposed to, we expect that from them, right? We expect them to support everything that we do, but they may not be in the season with you to do that. That could be their financial plate. That could be, maybe they don't even buy candles. Maybe they don't like pie. Maybe they on a diet, right? Be okay with accepting your friends for the reason why you were always friends, not because you started a business. That's not what they're there for. They're not here to support that. If that was the case, then they would be a client, they would be a consumer. So I separate my family and my friends from my business. If my family and friends don't buy my candles, that's perfectly fine. I might give you a candle as a birthday gift. Okay.
One way or another, you're getting a candle.
You gonna get a candle, and you take it or leave it, but you're gonna get a candle. But I say all of those things to say, you can't expect people to support it. Um, as long as you have to have confidence in what you do, and like I said, you got to be able to tell a story. Yeah, I would pretty much leave it at that.
Thank you. Um, I have, and this is not like for your candles specifically, but I have heard people say, "Why would I go there when I can go there?" Right? Why, in your case, why would I buy from Christina when I can go to Bath and Body Works?
Mhm.
The purpose behind it. Why do you go to Bath and Body Works? Because it's already there at the mall that you're at, or You needed a body spray, you got the candle to come with it. The candles are not going to be good quality candles are not going to be cheap no matter where you go.
Ever.
I buy from you because of your purpose, what I've seen you do, the work that you put into it. I don't look at what Bath and Body Works is doing over there. I might still buy it, but I'm also going to buy it from you because I've seen your work. I've seen the sweat and tears that you put into it. I've gone to a workshop. I went with Lupe. We just
Mm,
like, let's go see what happens. Do we
mhm.
know who's going to be there? No, but let's figure it out. As Lupe and I do, we'll just go wherever our heart desires, we
Just
will
go
be
where the
there.
wind blows. Mhm.
And we saw I saw you, I thought you were on skates. You were going back and forth so fast, say hi to everyone, a great host. You were teaching us how to do a candles. Our colors were not the best.
Right.
That's why you're the expert. I was looking at my candle and I'm like, why does it look like that? But you're coaching us, you're guiding us
Mhm,
along the way, and I got to see firsthand the work that goes into it that I would not do, but I'm going to pay someone else to do it, and that's going to be you. I see your website. We'll put the website up on this call on this podcast. I've seen your website. I've seen the work that you do. You're now doing fundraising too. That maybe you're not going to get from other companies. So there's a purpose behind it. I will support small business. I will support small businesses that are women owned. I will support small businesses that are black owned because there's a purpose behind it that is bigger than anything else that I can pinpoint for myself. I
absolutely.
will do that. And that's another thing that Lupe and I went and we're like, are we the only 2 Hispanic girls here? Well, it is what it is, and that's because we're seeing community come through
Mhm,
for you as we want for them to come through for us. So, I don't know if you knew them personally, I just knew I'm here to support and I wanna get what I'm paying for from Christina because I've seen her teach before and I know there's quality in how she teaches, quality in the work that she does. I am paying for that.
mhm.
So absolutely, everything that you're saying, for those that are listening, that are hearing, like, I wrote it down because that's what I do. You have a great idea. You're going to second guess it. Why are you in it? Right? What's your purpose? Believe in your brand. Um, God is in the mix. God is always going to be in
Amen.
the mix.
Yes.
Amen.
Mhm,
Go with your gut. Now, one of the things that I would say when you're going with your gut, I have to remind myself it's not going to be perfect the first time, and
mhm.
that's okay. Just get it done. Just
Yeah,
start somewhere, right? This
yeah,
podcast. I was like,
mhm,
I've been thinking about this for a long time. Well, let's just see. Let's just record and see what happens. Your niche, your brand. I love that you said this because this is the reason why I buy from you because of your niche and your brand. And they're beautiful candles. There's always going to be 10 million reasons not to do things,
yeah,
but stick to I would encourage people to ask themselves, what's my anchor? What's going to
mhm,
bring me back to the decision that I made in the first place to get
yep,
this done? There's always going to be 10 million reasons not to do it, but why did you even start it in the first place?
exactly.
You also said, if not you, then who? Someone else is going to do it. Why not you,
Mhm,
right? Um, don't expect your friends or your family to support you because they're going to do it anyway in their own way.
mhm,
I would probably say if your first candles wouldn't have smelled good, I would have still bought it because I'm your friend and I want to support you. But I come back because of the quality, right? And that's the difference. There's a big difference even when it comes to fundraisers. When I have friends ask me, "Can you purchase this? My kid is selling this." Yeah, I'll do it. Sure, I'll buy buckets and buckets of popcorn that I'm not going to eat
gonna eat at
because
all.
I'm not going to eat it. We do eat it. but but I don't know, right? I'll buy $20 gummy bears. Okay, that's the support that your friends and your family bring. But
Yep,
if you continue to sell me those $20 gummy bears, I'm not going to come back. I'm just going to do
yep,
it the one time because that's what
mhm,
friends and family do. The
mhm,
strangers are the ones that are going to tell you what the
yep,
market wants, what the
yep,
market needs.
mhm,
And then the last thing you said is tell a story. What is your story? I see your story everywhere in everything that you do. So I think this is great advice that you're giving people, no matter where they're at, what stage they're at in starting their own business. Now,
yeah.
I wanna ask you, is there anything else that you wanna add? Because let's talk about it, right? Wax to Riches Candle Company. great stuff, beautiful
Yeah,
work. I really like this. I saw that you changed it. The
I did.
containers.
I did. Yeah.
And you've talked about you can go, someone told you you can go buy a $5 candle somewhere else because it's
Mhm,
cheaper. I've
mhm.
done that. I've bought cheaper candles somewhere else, and then the container breaks. And then the container is black. If it's
Yep.
see-through, then it turns black,
Mhm,
or the
mhm.
candle doesn't last, or it gives me light, but I smell nothing. As it is,
Yeah.
I already have congestion issues, as you
Mm,
can hear. I
yeah.
want something that I can smell. These will for sure. This little one, this is your smallest one, right? And I
That's my
keep doing
smallest one
that.
right now. Mhm.
Okay, we have a bedroom that's a good size. Mine and my husband's bedroom is a good size. We can fit a king size bed in there and like some furniture here that I don't know the exact size of it, but the scent, I can smell it. It's so soft too. So soft. Now I have cats, so I have to be careful. I have to turn it off. So I love that the top, it's super easy. I also like to do this. I don't know why I do this with every single candle, wherever I get it from. I'm like, I don't know what to do at the top. Oh, that's
Yep.
what I'm gonna do at
It's
the
like an
top. So I sit it
unwritten
there.
yeah, everybody does that. Yeah.
Everybody does it. Okay, good. It's
I
not just
think
me.
so. Yeah.
So, so I love what you've done with it. I saw it and I told my sister because I gave her some. Remember when I text you and I was like, did I buy too
"Oh,
much?
girl,
Like,
you bought some candles that day, honey." I said, "Well, listen, look at here.
so
Looky here."
I was shopping in my sleep or half asleep and I bought a bunch of candles and I text Christina and I was like, did you put too much stuff in this box? Because I got a bunch of stuff. So I gave some to my sister.
Okay.
Um, But that's one of the things that I noticed. I'm like, "Oh, she's gonna love this because it just looks so luxurious. The look of it is nice." So, what else can you tell us about your business that people should know?
So I have literally rebranded everything, and I'm still in that rebrand rebuild phase, which is great because now I get to try new things. You mentioned earlier the fundraising, so I do offer fundraising for small dance teams, sports teams, anything like that. You can earn 40% off of the candles that you sell. I am actually working on a so I with my nonprofit, because I mentor young girls. I actually have a college student right now who is sorry, not a she's not a college student yet. She is a high school student graduating.
You're speaking
Um,
it into existence.
Amen. She is graduating this year, and she just committed to Texas State University, which is absolutely amazing. I'm so proud of her. Um,
Congratulations to her.
Absolutely. And so we are actually going to launch our first individual fundraiser for her, where you can purchase a candle and 25% will go towards her capstone project, which is basically a project that she does within the nonprofit. And so she'll get at the end of her season, she will get a check of whatever she earns, and she can use that for any of her college expenses, anything after high school, whatever she needs to use it for. I'm really proud of kind of the connection that Wax to Riches and Pearls Unbound are making, to ensure that we can continue to build these lifelong experiences for our young girls. So if you have like a student that is everything needs to be mission based, right? I am very up so like I don't want nobody talking about I need help paying my rent. Can we start a fundraiser? It don't work like that. It is more, it's mission based. It is for our youth. We want to make sure that we are still being able to pour into them in anything that they do, even if it's you know other enrichment programs that they need money for, or like I said, summer camp, or anything like that. Dance, their uniforms for sports, anything like that. They're going to be able to do that as well. So yeah, the rebrand it's real. It is taking a lot out of my time right now. So that's one of the things that I wanna make sure that, I'm just kind of really pushing myself to get off the ground. Then the other thing is a seller circle, so allowing people to actually get the candles out as fast as I would like us to, just more of a way for you to earn commission. So when I talk about motherhood and being a single mom, I feel for my single moms that may have been struggling or anything like that. because it's not an easy job to do, especially when it comes to taking care of your kids financially. So if you have an entrepreneurial spirit and you're just kind of looking for a way to just make some extra money, you would actually be able to help sell wax to riches candles just by utilizing a link on your social media. People can go on there, and you'll be able to actually earn between 25 and 40% of sales. Um, and you don't have to carry any inventory, anything like that. So that's also coming in, working on that right now. So
Okay. Thank you. Now, I feel like a lot of this episode speaks to women and some of the hardships that women go through. What's some advice that you would give to the gentleman out there, or someone who has a partner that's starting this out, either someone that wants to do this and doesn't have those same challenges? What would you say to them?
so what I would say to a partner that is, if you're a partner of someone that has started a business or is, already running a business and doing well, um, I'm sure that you can imagine how busy they are, or you're already experiencing how busy they are, and just kind of going through the emotional challenges of that, because you have to realize that as business owners, our business is our baby. So if you're a person that doesn't have kids but you run a business, that business is your baby and you are pouring into that. And so if you are a partner of someone that is doing that, um, know that they haven't forgotten about you. They are in the process of nurturing something special, but you are extremely important and pivotal in everything that they're doing. So being that backbone and being supportive to anything that they do, even if it's a small things. Let's say they are a creator, or a creative, right? And they're doing the pop-up shops. Go there and help them set up a tent, child. It's just as little as that. Sit outside with them, and you can have your water or whatever's in your cup, whatever you want to put in it, and just hang out. And I promise you that that speaks volumes to just feeling, as a business owner, feeling seen and heard from our partners, right? If you don't have, let's say you're a guy, you don't, maybe you don't have to worry about the kids as much. Like your wife does everything, or your significant other does everything, or just you don't have to really worry about the kids as much. Not to say that you don't, but owning your own business doesn't have to mean that you are juggling a million things like lives of others. It just means that you are, putting the work into something that you are passionate about. And so I bring that all the way back to my three P's, right? The passion, the purpose, and the paradigm. Always think about it like that. Whether you're a man, a woman, owning a business, you just have to remember you might not have as many challenges as the next person. But again, you just have to start somewhere and make sure that it's something that is meaningful and it's intentional, so that way you can feel like everything that you're putting out and it comes back, you feel good about it. I would never, do something for, 10, 20, 50, 50 years and not know that it's actually serving a purpose for me, holistically. So, think about it in that way, and, everything else is going to just fall in line as it should.
Thank you. Would you have similar advice to someone for someone who's like, "Okay, I have this idea. What do I do next?"
Oh, absolutely. Ask questions. Ask questions too. Like, we are not going to be the experts in everything. Even to this day, I've now been making candles for, I'm going on year 5. Um, I still don't have all the answers. So learning is key to constantly building your experience, asking questions, and not being afraid to make mistakes. If you don't know if you should, just do it. Just do it. At least, try it once and see what it brings. Hell, try it twice. Try it 3, 4, 5 times. Um, you have to be okay with experience, right? You have to be okay with being experiential. And you also have to be okay with being uncomfortable in those moments. And I will really attest to my uncomfortableness in starting a nonprofit even. Um, knowing that if I start this nonprofit, there are going to be other stakeholders that have to approve the things that I do. I am very much so one to be a perfectionist in the things that I do. And sometimes I don't like being told no, or I don't like being told that this isn't necessarily working. And the reason why is because it's something that I am pouring my heart and my soul into. And it's very uncomfortable to share that process with somebody, but you have to be okay with getting that perspective. So that's again that paradigm. You're going to get perspectives from everybody else. It
Mhm.
doesn't mean that you have to go with them, but it does mean that you should take it into consideration because they're probably seeing something that you're not seeing. So be okay with experimenting and be okay with trying it a couple times. Don't trash it yet. Um, try it this way, try it that way, try it up, try it down, try it blue, try it purple. But you got to start somewhere. So do
And
that.
larger businesses do it too. I
Mhm.
think that's the part that we don't see. We see, like, um I look at Apple, for example, and let's talk about the iPhone. If it was perfect the first time, we would all be walking around with the very first iPhone. I don't even remember what it was, but they try something different, or they try a there's innovation that happens and
Mhm.
something new happens, or the market changes. If it's not going to be, you mentioned stakeholders for your nonprofit, you're gonna have board members, you're gonna have all of the other people that are gonna be contributing. If you're not okay with that, that can be a problem because guess
Yep,
what? Your customer can tell you, "This is not something I
absolutely.
like. I want
Mhm.
something else." Dunkin' Donuts just did it not too long ago. They were Dunkin' Donuts, now they're just Dunkin' because they realized, "Oh, we don't just sell donuts, we sell other stuff." So it's just Dunkin'. Large companies go through rebranding, they go through different
Absolutely.
stages. The
Mhm.
market's gonna change, the customer's gonna change, and then you're gonna have to shift, right? I see that with everything. This podcast, someone can say, "Well, this is the stupidest thing I've ever heard." Well, no, I'm gonna be sad about it because I'm pouring my heart and soul into it,
Mhm.
and you're
Mhm.
putting your time into being here, but then what do I do with that? Do I just,
Mhm.
unplug and say never again, or do I try
Yep.
something different, right? So, I think it's a great point that you're making, but you do have to
Yeah.
start somewhere.
You do, and you also have to be okay knowing that there's going to be failures. And I don't even like to call them failures. I like to say you just have to reshift and repurpose. So there might be some things that just don't work well. I feel like if it's a failure, it just means that you didn't get back up and you didn't continue. So I've had a lot of times where I was like, child, that flopped. That was horrible. Let's try something else. But I'm not going to stop the entire purpose of what I'm doing. And so just be okay that, everything's not going to happen perfectly at all. And if it's time to rebrand, it's time to rebrand. It's time to, it's okay to let some things go. Be okay with that.
Yeah, yeah. You either fail or you learn. That's
Right.
also
Yep.
it's the reason why I don't like hearing, like, you get positive feedback or negative feedback. No, it's either positive or developmental.
Yep.
You
Yep.
either learn from it
Mhm.
or you don't, right? And I think that's great advice that you're giving. Don't see it as a failure. If you
Mhm.
drop it and you never touch it again, well, that failed.
Yep.
If you do something about it and you move forward and you learn from it, you're just developing. That's
Exactly.
it. That's what it
Yep.
is.
Hmm.
Okay. So Christina, before we wrap up, can you share where can people buy your candles? How what Share your handles, share your websites. Where can people find you and how can they purchase or contribute?
All right. So you can actually purchase from the website directly at wax2, that's the number two, riches.com. So the two is just the number two. And then you can also find me on Instagram at wax2riches LLC. And same thing on Facebook, wax2riches. It actually comes up as wax2riches candle company.
Great. Thank you. If anyone wanted to get involved or wanted to learn more about Pearls Unbound, how same thing? Where can they reach you?
Um, Right now, I am still working on the just kind of finalizing the pages, so that will come up, but you will be able to find it at pearlsunbound.org. So that is the actual that will be the actual website, but it is not up just yet. But you will be able to find us there as well as on Instagram. You will find us at pearlsunbound.org.
Thank you. Either way, if you follow the Personal Pivot podcast pages, we will repost as soon as they're up and running. So not a problem there. Well, Christina, thank you so much for being here, for sharing your story openly. I feel like you shared so many stories that tell us who Christina is. Um, you're a great person. You're a great human. You're a wonderful mom. You're a wonderful friend. I wish you nothing but luck with everything that you do. I know this is going to resonate with a lot of people who are listening, and to those of you who are tuning in, share the pages, share with someone else that you feel could, if it wasn't you, who could benefit from this. Those of you tuning in, if something in this conversation stuck with you, share it with someone who needs it. I will see you in the next episode. Christina, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Claudia. And let me just say that I am loving the podcast. I think this is absolutely amazing. It's definitely something that you were meant to do. Um, like if nobody has ever told you that, please know, like this
Thank you.
is literally chef's kiss. I love it. I love this for you, and I will continue to support and follow everything that you're doing. So thank you so much for inviting me. This was truly an honor.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Christina. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to Personal Pivot. If this conversation resonated with you, be sure to follow, share it with someone who might need it, and leave a review. Until next time, keep growing, keep evolving, and don't be afraid to pivot.